Here are a few of my favorite memories of Raye. I was the assistant manager at the Heritage Credit Corporation. My job was to file judgments and garnishments. I was pregnant with my son when I progressed through the pregnancy to 7 and 9 months. When I entered the court, Raye would say, "Honey, I can shoot people, I can lock them up. But if your water breaks in front of that judge, you're on your own. I don't deliver babies. I just hug and kiss them and give them back." My daughter Presley is a sentinel for the South Panola FFA. She was working for a fruit and meat sale, and she sold Raye a bucket of fruit. The fruit came in on a Wednesday, December the 11th. I called Raye and told him, "Your fruit is here." Raye came in my office about 3:45, and I had to say, "Raye, I'm sorry. I forgot to call you and tell you my truck had a flat, and it's at Dunlap." I proceeded to tell him that he was welcome to go get the truck, or he would follow me there. He said, "I'm not worried about it. How's your mama?" I told Raye that 20 minutes earlier I had received a call that there was nothing else that could be done for her. He said, "Oh, baby, I'm sorry to hear that." He also said, "Life just ain't fair." I told him I didn't think so either. He said, "Well, remember this. Life is never guaranteed." He said, "When it's time for you to go, then it's time for you to go." He said, "I could die tomorrow. You could die tomorrow. Everybody better get straight with the good Lord." My daughter Presley is 14 and in the 9th grade. I told Raye she was hounding me about wanting a car. I told him that when she got old enough to drive, then I wanted him to be my second set of eyes. He told me everything that she did not do before getting a car. By this time, it was 5 o'clock. Raye went to walk out of the office, and I said, "See you later." He said, "I'm praying for your mama. If you need me, you know my number." I walked Raye to the front of my office, and he said, "Well, love, I'll see you tomorrow. Love you." I returned it with the "I love you too, and I'll see you tomorrow." 24 hours later, tomorrow never came. I never got my greeting. He never got his fruit. This town, this community, and everyone has lost a true gem, as he was a diamond in the rough. He never ceased to make you smile, laugh, press your buttons only to aggravate you. That's why people love him so. I've never met a person who could say one negative thing about Raye. My sweet mama gained her angel wings on January 22nd. I know he and my mother are shaking their head and saying, "I wonder what that girl's going to do next." I know that she was waiting for him at the pearly gates. It's not goodbye, it's "I'll see you later." I think about him every day and smile. Until I see him again, my friend, hug mama. And when God calls me home, I'll meet you at the pearly gates. Rest easy, C2, my best friend and second father. I'll miss you forever. Heather Callahan. From Daniel Cole, Director of Panola County Emergency Operations. I've known Raye for over 20 years. From the day we met, he loved to give me a hard time. Raye Hawkins helped our office with everything from bad wrecks to damage assessments after storms. We attended several training sessions together. On a personal note, he claimed my oldest child, Avon, as his own. He even helped renovate her playhouse. In return, I helped him move the big box stands to hunt from. Raye Hawkins loved to be the center of attention, and he never met a stranger. He was always willing to help anyone in need, and he truly will be missed by everyone who knew him. Susan Mills. I knew Raye for almost 30 years. He loved God and was not afraid to tell people that God had worked miracles in his life and that would help you with any problem, big or small. He was the type of person that whatever you needed him to do, if Raye Hawkins was on your side, you were certain to win every time. He went above and beyond to help any person he could. This world would never be the same without him. He was a good man, and I missed him. May he rest in peace. Boys Crowell. Some of my memories of Raye are like most folks, random coming to the office, joking around, full of conversation about politics and so forth. But our relationship is a little bit different. Raye's oldest sister married into my family, so we are, Mississippi kinfolks. I live in Cortland, not far from Raye, and I have a fishing pond with a deck. You can waste your time drowning worms or talking trash, and he was an expert at both of them. When Wes, his son, was young, he would bring him to fish and enjoy life. We also spent time talking about our younger days when we would hang around the neighborhood at Crowson's Grocery. Those were the days when finding the perfect fudgesicle was the best part of the day. Our place always has dogs and cats around, and about 20 years ago, Raye picked out a German Shepherd pup and gave him a home. I'll tell you, he loved that doggie. Years later, when old Scooter passed away, Raye showed his sensitive side. For a while, he would just cry if you simply brought up old Scooter's name. I sold Ray a few cars for his constable job. In the late 1990s, after getting elected for the first time, he had an old Toyota pickup. He really needed something besides a small truck with a straight shift to perform his duties, so he bought a sedan for me. I kind of had a shine to that old truck. He threw me the keys when leaving and said, "Keep it and take good care of it." I drove it to town today in his memory. Ray was proud of his son Wes and the fact that he was a true believer and was saved. In that fact, I find the most peace. Love you, Ray. We all miss you. Hannah Flower. When I reflect on Raye Hawkins and what an honor it is to be asked to participate in this memorial, I realize just how big of an impact he was in my life. There were so many roles that Ray played in my life, it's almost impossible to narrow them down to a specific category. He was one of the most genuine people I ever knew. You could lose focus of what your original conversation was, and he could make the most ridiculous situation and turn it into a full-blown, laughing, side-hurting moment. The majority of my days were better just by coming in his presence. I've known Ray since I was 10, when he was my DARE instructor. And throughout the years, he has become an everyday influence. We worked hand in hand as he worked as the local constable. He would try his best to help people with legal issues. He became my best friend, though, and loved my children, too, due to common interest. We would often go check on Ray and have him over for supper dates. What has touched me the most is his accountability and a friendship. Ray was one of the few people who could set me straight, but in the same breath make me feel like he had my back no matter what. One person that I knew if I needed something, I could count on him to come through every time. Over the summer, I convinced Ray to go to North Mississippi Christian Camp. He came back on fire and changed. He made a point to tell me that the camp had helped him and changed his life. If only he had known he'd been saving mine throughout the whole journey, it would be a wonderful memory. God knows when we need people to help us along the way, to accomplish things, to encourage one another, to help get through situations in life. I know that we were meant for one another. The only thing I regret is not telling him that I loved him enough. He lived day by day to the fullest. And I guess even with him gone, he is still teaching us things every day. Gerald Legg Jr., Chief of Police, retired. Ray was an exceptional person. It was his goal to put a smile on the face of everyone he met. And for a law enforcement officer, that was not always an easy task. Ray would do anything he could to help anyone. Whether you were a crime victim or someone who broke the law, he treated you with respect as long as you would allow him to do so. If you walked into a room that Ray was in, you probably would hear him before you saw him. If you walked into a room that Ray was in, you probably would hear him before you saw him. He had a way of getting everybody's attention and making everyone smile. It was a pleasure to serve with Ray both in enforcement as well as in prevention. He was loved by children of his community as their DARE officer. They say a child doesn't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Ray's DARE students definitely know how much the lieutenant cared for them. Ray worked the streets as a patrol officer, putting his life on the line daily, just like other officers do every day. He had a close call when a bullet passed so near his head that it broke his glasses. For some, that might have been the end of the career, but not Ray. He kept serving our community and went on to be elected Panola County Constable. When you hear the word hero, you may not immediately think of Raye Hawkins, but you should. Raye Hawkins is a true hero because of his service to the community for nearly 30 years, because of his work with kids to help make better choices, and because he paid the ultimate sacrifice serving the community he loved. The Bible says, "Greater love hath no man than this, that he laid his life down for his friend." Dennis Darby, former sheriff of Panola County. I'm Dennis Darby. I'm talking today about my relationship with the late Raye Hawkins. As children, we were raised up together. I cannot remember when I did not know him. I was hired just prior to him in law enforcement. We had the same lifelong desire to be in law enforcement. I served there for 36 years as highway patrolman, sheriff, and worked with Ray many times. In many cases of the worst type, he was surely the one that you expected to show up in response to the call. On the last day of his life, he was responding to help other agencies in a high-speed chase. He was experienced, but he got caught up in not knowing what was on the other end of a chase. This could have happen to anyone. Ray has showed up at some of the same schools and churches with me, telling people what we thought would make the community better or safer. He thought, like I do, that our children and grandchildren's future depends on what we do as they are raised. Law enforcement has changed a lot, from not having enough assistance to having assistance now in emergencies, like Ray was assisting because he wanted to be helped. He also was available in the aftermath because that was the time that the work picked up, reports and follow-ups came due, and Ray was always there, always checking in. As all who come from different experiences, it helped us as we picked each other's brain to contribute. Ray had a big heart for his family. You knew this because he talked about them a lot. I miss him. He had a tremendous personality, a dry wit, lots of fun, tell a joke, and enjoyed to laugh with you. He was concerned about the future of law enforcement, what we could expect and what we needed. He thought of the future. Sometimes you don't know exactly what the value is of someone until they're gone. He loved this job, which was exciting, fun, and sometimes very dangerous. That's what he signed up for, and that's what he never shied away from. Ray loved people and won't be remembered as one who bashed or talked bad about other folks. All his family is grieving, and we grieve with them. Just want everyone to know that we who worked with him thought a lot of him. This is from Nita at the Batesville Police Department. I've known Raye Hawkins for over 40 years and worked for him for about 10 at the Batesville Police Department. I am grateful to have known him as my friend. Our families were close as we raised our boys, went through Boy Scouts and school events over the years. Ray was the one that you would be a little afraid to turn your back on because he was always pulling pranks and jokes, full of fun and laughter. He would come by my office and sometimes comment on the gray on my hair and how it matched the print on my clothes, or that it reminded him of a couch or curtains that he had seen somewhere. He was real, though, and if he told you he was going to take care of something, he absolutely did. Raye Hawkins will be missed by all, but it's not goodbye, Ray. It's I'll see you later. Kelly Pittman with Batesville Police Department. I worked with Ray in some form for over 20 years. I never called him with a question that he could not answer or would not find out the answer and call me back. He also worked as part-time with me, and it did not matter the situation. He would always find a way to make you laugh. He loved his job, and he took it very seriously. He also loved his family. You could not be in a conversation with him without the subject of his grandson coming up. Jimmy McLeod, Chief of Police, Batesville, Mississippi. Raye Hawkins, what a man. I first met Ray as a young patrol officer in 1993. He quickly became someone who all of us could go to with questions, and he became my mentor. Ray finally left the police department to become the constable. Holding the office of constable was a unique position for Ray, as he became directly a part of every law enforcement in the community. Ray was always helpful in any situation. As with many who knew Ray, I have many, many Ray stories. But the most important day was when he came to me and told me he had found Jesus. He went from being a good lawman to being a saved good lawman. He will be greatly missed, but never replaced. From Jada at the Justice Court, Ray always had such a playful spirit. I loved that about him. Everyone who knew Ray will never forget him. I simply cannot grasp the fact that he is no longer here. I look for him to come in my office, keys jingling and speaking to everyone. He would talk mostly about his grandbaby, Landon, and his son, Wesley. They will forever be his pride and joy. It's hard to understand why things happen the way they do, but we have to remember God is in control and God knows what is best. Ray, Justice Court will always love you. Jim Pitcock, Chancery Clerk. Raye Hawkins' life was a picture of public servant. Ray was always pleasant to be around and always brought a smile with him regardless of the circumstances. He always painted a picture of everything being okay. I don't recall him ever being negative about anything. He was a joy to be around, and Ray's service to Panola County not only was commendable, but excellent. He simply did what he was entrusted to do as a public servant. His last act of service told us everything we need to know about him. He was ready and willing to lay down his life for his brother. Rest in peace, Ray. Well done, thy good and faithful servant. Patty Anthony, Deputy Clerk. Raye Hawkins was a kind man with a big heart and a warm smile. He cherished his family and friends. His call to protect and serve has blessed and impacted more lives than he knew. He was born with a servant's heart, and he served until the very end.
Panola C. Charles, 2. Constable Raye Hawkins, badge number Panola C2, no response. It is with great sorrow that we mourn the passing of Panola C2 Constable Raye Hawkins, who was tragically killed in a line of duty on December 12, 2019. Constable Hawkins served Panola County and the citizens of Panola County for nearly 34 years as a true public servant. Sir, you have made your family and the people you have served very proud. Your presence with the entire community will always be remembered. Your ultimate sacrifice will never be forgotten. All units break for a moment of silence. Constable Raye Hawkins, badge number Panola C2. May you rest in peace, knowing your honor and legacy will continue on with all of us. Thank you for your service. Rest easy, sir. We have the watch from here. End of watch for the final time at 13:52. On December 18, 2019, badge number Panola C2 is hereby retired. Dispatch clear.